double your income in less time. Some people go, oh, you can't do that because they aren't open to a possibility. It's not only possible, it's actually a better way to do it.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
I'm excited to have our guest of honor, Marc Von Musser, all the way from California, to come lead us through this. So, how to make 7 to 8 figures in 2020 Elite Mastermind. And we've got these 5 key points that we're going to go through.
So guys, one of the things that I've talked to some of you probably about this, but it's important too that you guys go. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they confuse being busy with being productive. So first and foremost, you want to start thinking about, what do you want to be celebrating? What is the goal for 1 year from today? And we're going to first start to enhance it. Everyone else says, oh, I got to get my funnel done. I got to get this. I got to get new employees. That's not accurate. You want to get very specific about 1 year from today. What do you want to be celebrating 1 year coming in here going, holy shit, Nikki, you got to hear this. It needs to inspire you. It needs to be something that pushes you. It needs to be something you cannot get out of your head. Now, most people are making their goals based on the safe goal. Well, I didn't do it. And, 10% growth would be great. If I can just pay my bills. And all of a sudden what they're doing is they're already softening their greatness. If you guys want to go there, it's like if there's nothing that you can't do. So somebody give me a sum of money that would be like if you had it, $100 million, $50 million, what number would be like, oh my God, you could do great things with it. If you won the lotto or something, what number would that be? If you got a check, let's say God pulled you aside and said, you know what? I need your help on the front lines. I need your help on the front lines. It's not about the money, but I want to get that out of the way. So how can I count on you to go love the people, rock their world, to get that? The first goal that you guys pick. I'll give you what you guys want, but you guys have to be on the front line. And it's like, that's the kind of thing too. It's like when you get that there's a bigger picture in play here, you're going to tap into a power that you've yet to utilize. You can hustle, that will get you so far. But if you want to go supersonic and have the magic and people just magically show up and all of a sudden your calls start working better, you want to take it up a notch, not just the money. Everyone else is focusing on the money, but it's like that is a byproduct. But when I ask people, could you hit that goal that you wrote down for this year? Yeah. Have you had that goal more than once? Probably, yeah. So why didn't you hit it? Somewhere along the lines, and the softening started. The weak part of us took over. Well, I don't want to kill myself. I've got kids. I've got a family. I've got, I'm doing great. And all of a sudden, our goal that was our dream and our inspiration, now we start softening day by day. Now, it's not just softening it. When you do that, you're actually dying and killing the weakness of your spirit. If you really realize there's nothing you could put on that, let's say in your case, it was change 200 women's lives. 200 women out of that group, 40 of them would commit suicide in the next year. How would you show up to that dream? And it's like, when you get in touch with that, now the work is secondary. But that's the part people skip. It's about, same thing with you, Mark. You've got an amazing skill. Saw your book about purpose and whatever. It's very similar to what I do and what she's doing. But at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't have it, what happens to a man without purpose? Just look at the news. Every one of them fuckers that go clock tower shooter on people, there's someone who lost purpose. Somebody right now, 36,000 people are going to die this year from a suicide. That's a purpose that lost purpose. There's going to be about 300,000 that died of car accidents, drunk driving. Most of those are people that lost purpose. How many of those people can we go find? In your case, it's not quite as dramatic, but again, there is an element there as well. It's about human beings. How many people, again, what I did that really helped get me out was I started to look at who's the biggest asshole realtors that are out there. Because if I didn't step out, I knew they were going to get them because they did have a marketing funnel. They did have all the, I'll buy your property if you don't sell it. And it was all crock of shit. But the question that got me out the door, when I was good, I didn't want to go out and do it because it was about the money. Money didn't motivate me. But if I knew they were going to end up in Matt's camp, I would go fucking kick ass so that they didn't get that. That's what I mean about finding your purpose in it. So you need to look at that number. Would you show up differently if God showed you, he said, look, I need your help this year. $10 million bucks, fine. You can have it. $2 million bucks this year, fine. And then do you honor it enough to go serve that many people? Then you want to do it kind of what he was talking about, kind of what you're talking about, the value we're going to get to how many people that would look like. It doesn't really matter. With what you're doing, you're helping people get the best version of themselves, to live their dream. What's that worth over a lifetime? You know, even if they only, or do you mostly work with hockey players or who?
Right now, mostly women between the ages of 35 and 55.
Okay, got it. So how many of those could you liberate? Now, for some of those too, again, depending on how you want to craft this, everybody skips that first step. First, you pick the goal, but you have to go look at your eye. When I watch somebody, it is not their skill set, as sad as that is. It's that helps. But it's like if you actually care and you work your ass off, that will actually trump somebody with a better skill set that's not as committed. Seen it all the time. It's the same sort of thing. There's some big ass guys out there on internet, Facebook. They're really expensive. And guess what? No, didn't work. Go fuck yourself. They do that shit all the time. And it's like, if you care and you're willing to go the extra yard and help them, you're worth every penny. And there was a saying that I used to tell people. It's like people would hide behind this belief that, oh, I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not Deepak Chopra. And I go, yeah, you're right. Guess what? Those fuckers aren't calling it. You're on the front line. They're not. And it's like, if you will be there to that person, it's like to God, to a child that's 3 years old, you are God to that kid.
Victor said that earlier today.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, you know, this morning when we were on stage, right, he was saying these, like, you know, you can get into Robin Sharma's mastermind or Brian Tracy's mastermind, but they're not knocking on your door. It's hard to get in those things, right?
No, and even with some of the other ones too, it's like there's some good guys, but it's like get their book and their home study course. It covers the same stuff. And it's like, if you want to get to the next level, it's not more transactional activity. It's more connecting to purpose, more connecting to your higher self. That's where you're going to find your growth. The transactional part of it, they were saying, you know, how he was saying it's 15%. It might even be 5% is the strategy. You have to do it. That's kind of like saying, you want to get in shape? You better just commit to working out, period. You know, you do what she's talking about too. That makes a big difference too, because you can work out, but if your diet's fucked up, but you got to just handle that shit. But if you don't get your mindset first, you won't stick it out. That's the key. So first, pick a goal. It has to inspire you. Do not soften it. The question, though, is ask yourself, am I truly committed to it? Have I already started softening, so I'm not going to do it? Well, I don't have this. Well, I don't want to work that. Those are softeners that are already creeping up. That's your supervillain within you that is already trying to take control over this conversation. We all have a superhero within us. That's the one that kicked ass. That's the one that drove through traffic. That's the one that built your businesses. That's the guy when a challenge comes up, you're the guy that stands up. Now, we also have the other one, which is, fuck, dude, you haven't become a billionaire yet. Fuck, dude, you don't have a jet. By the way, fuck, you're doing that still? And there's that always that one trick we all know, and he comes back and he does have a jet or whatever. And it's like, you know, and it's like we get in that comparison game and it's the thief of our joy. So you have to get to that point, though. How committed are you? Because if you put it down there and you have the ovaries or gonads to put it down, you can have it. So let's talk about that. Now, the second thing that you're going to want to do is you have to get brutally honest. There's no right or wrong here, but you have to ask yourself, do my beliefs currently get me there, or are they stopping me? For example, if I have a goal to be, I'm going to go, and this stacks on what you were saying. If I have a goal and I want to go ahead and I want to get in shape, is there any shortage of diets? What's the best diet?
I don't know. Dr. Val?
She can't do this one. What's the best diet? How about if I skip breakfast and lunch and I have 20,000 calories at dinner? Is that a good diet?
No.
Well, no, that's what I'm going to do. Is that a good diet? Why?
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
Is that really true? What's the diet of a sumo wrestler?
It's whatever you believe.
That's part of, yeah, but what's the diet? Form follows function. That's what sumo wrestlers do.
Yeah, so you look like a sumo wrestler.
That's exactly right. But if my goal was to be a sumo wrestler, it is a good diet. If my goal is to be a marathon runner, you probably don't want that diet. So the thing that I wanted to point out, guys, is the exact same diet is wrong or it's right, but the key is the goal. So it's the same thing with your beliefs. There are some beliefs that you need to shed, and you have to do an internal mind audit to decide, does that belief get me my goal? Yes or no? If it is not pushing you to it, you need to replace it with one that does. Hello, Mark.
Nice to meet you. Sorry.
No worries.
20
Track.
push-ups.
So first off, though, is we're talking about what is a goal in 2020 that would inspire the shit out of you. When you get done, literally, you're alone and you're going to cry in gratitude because you made it happen. All the years you missed your goals, this was not that year. This is the year it fucking finally worked. So that's the first part. Then you start making a list of, okay, if that's my goal, how committed am I? So what was your number again? 10 million. Okay. And just so we can make our math easy, what's your price point going to regularly be? Is it going to be 10,000 as a front one?
Yeah.
And then what's your back end going to be? You can do 40,000 back end mastermind or what? Okay. 40,000. I'm trying to make my math easy. So for 10,
make it 50. That'll even make it easier.
yeah, 50 will be easier. And believe it or not, guys, we've sold masterminds at all the range from 30 to 125. It makes no difference. But for something like that, for me to do that, the pathway is not as important. The goal and the vibration is. So if I'm looking at that, the second I claim it, once I know what those numbers are, my mind is going to start looking for vehicles and ways to make that happen. So if that's the case and I have 10,000, and then I'm going to look at that and say 10 million. Okay, so how do I do that? I'm going to do a combination of this and this. So let's see what would happen if I did 50 people a month times 10,000. That's going to be 500,000 times 12. That's right there, 6 million. And that's actually just at 50 a month. Now, out of 50 a month, what would I need to do here? I need to have a gap of 4 million. So I'd need basically about 80 people to join a mastermind. And right there, I have a $10 million business. And guess what? Then I can go into work and saying, how do I do that? So then his mind is going to go, you know what? I helped that guy up there do 500 million and he wasn't any better than me. And you know what? If I did, let's say I do an event every month. I do an event every month. I do them myself. Could I do 12 people at an event every month? 12 signups. Is that within the realm? Yeah. Okay, so I only need 12 people a month and I'm going to get my 100 million. You guys see how quick, or 10 million, how quickly that comes together? And guess what? It might not be 50. One month he might do 70 or 60. He might only get 70 masterminds. It will kind of self-balance itself out. But what he has to do is hold that vision and the frequency of it every single day. You wake up as if you just did it. And the more you're familiar with that and all the feelings that it comes with, then you're going to start to create it. But with the beliefs, it's like, what would be different? How much do I want to do that? And what you're going to do is pick a belief. You make a belief table. I want to give you 3 main points on beliefs. And this is true for you too. Fuck it Patino. Whatever it is.
Fuck you, Patino. Fucking Patino. Excuse me.
So this is true for fucking Patino as well. So it's the sort of thing that too is that you want to create some beliefs about why 10 million is a freaking no-brainer. I absolutely know I'm going to do at least 10 million this year because.
Sorry, Mark. Sorry to interrupt. Okay, so number one is I'm recording this on Zoom. Okay, for the eCircle community folks. If you want your phone and to record this, you can go ahead and record this as well. But with the caveat that this is not to be shared.
Yeah,
this is private. This is Mark's intellectual property, right? And like what he's doing for us, he charges like millions of dollars to people. So I want like just your agreement. You're not going to share this if you're recording this. Okay, agreed?
Okay,
James.
Yep. Okay, great.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So guys, this is the first thing you want to know about beliefs. It is a myth that there's only one truth. That's an absolute flat out lie. Just like I showed you with the diet. For the wrong person, that sumo diet, if you want to be a marathon runner, it's the wrong diet for a runner, but it's the right diet for there. Just like if I have sensitivity to high saturated fats, keto might not be a great diet for me. Just like if I don't eat processed vegetables, I might not be a good candidate for vegan. And so there's all sorts of things, but what happens is they try and convince you of what they're trying to convince themselves. So you want to make sure that your beliefs, number one, there's more than one truth in any situation. So let's look at your belief about 10 million. There's 2 main beliefs here. Number one, there's no way in fucking hell you can do it. Right. Number 2, there's no way you could not do it. Now, guess which one will drive you forward and guess which one will stop you?
There's no way I could not do it.
So which one is true?
No way I cannot do it.
They only become true when you create references, so that's the only truth.
Right.
You have to build references because the mind is going to process. Well, have you ever done it before for you? Oh, shit, you just built the wrong table.
Right.
Now you're building this table. You've never done it before. Have you ever helped anybody do it?
Yes.
Okay, so now you're building this table. Were they any smarter than you?
No.
No. Do you also care more than some of the people you made money for? That's another reference. How smart are you? Are you smart enough to pull this off?
Yes.
Are you an expert in your craft?
Yes.
Give me another example of somebody you took from zero to dip. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you've done it once, you can do it twice because you understand scale. So you build the one with real references, put real faces to it. For you, I would have you put the people that were the happiest, that you took a stand from where the douchebags couldn't.
Right.
For you, it's a pro bono or not, doesn't matter. The ones you help change their life. You want this so strong, it becomes one solid granite rock of truth. And the more you do it, it's like it's a done deal. You can't fake this. You need one about your program. The second one is you need it about your price. Is $10,000 a lot of money? There's two truths. It's a lot of money and it's a freaking bargain. Are both true? Guess which one will lead your behavior? It's a bargain. So you have to stack belief support underneath it. To learn how to become a multimillionaire that actually works, what would we pay if you could go work with any billionaire on the planet? Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, you got to go and he would mentor you for 12 weeks, 24 weeks, give you the best. What do you think that would be worth?
God.
You know what I mean?
$1 million a day.
Exactly. And so you have that skill that you're going to do it. So how many millions have you spent on ads?
Probably at least 30 million.
Okay. And out of the 30 million, how many millions did you spend that was a total fuck up, did not work? Testing.
Probably $1 million,
$2
$2 million.
million that didn't work. Do you think there's some knowledge there? Could you help me avoid that mistake?
Yep.
You see what I mean? So it's like now I build that belief that $10,000 is a bargain. By the time you're done with this, you need to look at your value as at least 100,000. You want at least 10 to 1 for the value of what you deliver. All of it, because you care. That's a big one. Does everybody in your industry care? Does everybody in the industry really want to see you win? Do most of the people in your industry just want to grab the money and move on?
Correct.
So it's like, you see how quickly his mind and he can give real references to why he's different and why he is the man. So now when he goes and takes action, that comes next. Now it's going to be congruent. But that's the second table you have to build. The third one you have to build too is about you, the person. This is where a lot of people miss it. This is where the hidden shit in our heads gets in the way. Do you have a superhero in you that's done amazing things? And do you have a supervillain that's fucked you up a bunch of times?
Yes.
We all do. So what happens though is the one that drives the car for most people is the supervillain. His job is to keep you safe, is to keep you in your comfort zone. He is a survival mechanism expert. He will lie, cheat, and steal to do anything to keep you from going for your dream. But when you want to go do your dream, he cannot drive the car. I don't want to make him wrong because he served me too, but he sits in the back seat. If he doesn't shut up, I put duct tape and he goes in the trunk. But when you guys want to get to your goal, you have to reinforce, and guess which one leads the way? The one you feed. You guys all remember the story about the two wolves.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but no one intentionally feeds that guy. So you need to go back. That's where I came up with the brag book. The brag book or victory journal, I'd recommend you guys commit to 30 days and just give yourself 10 minutes a day and watch who you become. It's not who you really become. It's all the shit you're going to pull out of your head. What is a victory journal? Call it a brag book or a victory journal. Every day.
Teresa gave everybody here who was at the immersion one of those. So
Give yourself 10 minutes, and if you really want to go hardcore, go 20. Write down everything that you've done that you're proud of. This is not for anybody's eyes. This is not for you. Let's talk about it. This is for you and your eyes only. When you showed kindness to somebody, when you got through the Army Academy, that was not easy. When you did this, when you did that, you write it down. When you were there late at night when everyone else quit. When you built a business from scratch, when you failed and picked yourself back up, you write that down. And all of a sudden you'll have a journal and you'll realize that God did not make junk and he did not start with you. You've had a lifetime of victory and success, but you've never really given yourself credit for it because you're so busy moving on. And society beat you down like, hey, don't get cocky. Don't be egotistical. So there was no real honor and no victory. To make it worse, they created the everybody gets a trophy generation.
oh, God,
So there was no victory anymore. Oh, you showed up. Well, he showed up too. Well, he didn't fucking practice.
Mhm.
He's a slug. He didn't die for the ball. You know what I mean? But it's like he got a trophy too. So what happens is all of a sudden we start playing small.
You don't have to.
That's exactly right. What's the benefit of not? And so what's happened is that human greatness, and when we set a goal, we don't go at it. All of a sudden our greatness starts to dim and our power starts to get a little bit less. You want to rekindle it and make it a freaking bonfire? You start doing that every day for 10, 20 minutes is all you need. And just write it down and remember how you felt when you stood up to the bully in 4th grade. Remember the time that you had to get up in Mrs. Olson's class and present in front of the class and you fucking crushed it. And start writing down, and that memory will trigger another memory, which will trigger another memory. And it's not all just I made a lot of money. It's also when you did the values that make you you. Because somewhere along the lines, we stopped acknowledging that I'm a good person, that I was willing to, help somebody, and I did that for somebody else. So all of a sudden, we discount that. This will bring it back very, very quickly. And it will change the way that you show up. When we have people go supersonic, it's when they finally started doing this. Because there's a lot of mind trash that's been put in our heads over the course of the time. There's an ex-wife, an ex-husband, a teacher, a parent, somebody else there, and they get in your head and they don't stop. Sometimes it's us. But that's the second thing, is that you want to create positive beliefs. If you have a belief that, you know what, I don't want to kill myself to get my goal. Is that a positive belief driving my goal, or is that going to stop me?
It's going to stop you, man.
So I have to pay attention to where my head goes. These are that little villain in my head's going to try and steer them away. Does it matter if you were bankrupt?
No.
Don't. Does it matter if I'm down on the bottom right now?
No.
Can you give me examples of the most famous CEOs that didn't ever get kicked in the nuts and knocked to their knees?
Trump.
No, he's been knocked down.
No, oh, I thought you said that were knocked down.
No. That had been knocked down. That didn't come back.
Oh.
That's why you remember Lee Iacocca. That's why you remember George Patton. That's why I remember every single one. Read their bios. This guy's read them all. And it's like, when you realize that, it's like, it's not whether you get kicked down. Everybody gets kicked down. It's whether you stand back up and whether you're willing to go take the hit. Now, that is when you get that. The brag book is also going to show you that's the source of your power. You're going to realize you have a power much greater than you've ever given yourself credit for. And then it's like, okay, now we can get started. So make sure that your beliefs are solid. So if you have that belief and it pops up, we got to get rid of it. And that's the next step. The minute one of those things pop up, and guys, this is never ending. If you've never made $100,000 a month, you're going to do it for about 2 to 3 months before you have to pay attention, because cocky's going to slip in. And all of a sudden, you're the man for about a month, then 2 months, and 3 months.
It's happened inside eCircle too. A few of our members, they start to get successful, and then they get cocky, and then they do. It happened to one fellow. I'm not going to mention his name, but he went from $18,000 a year to $2.1 million a year, and the next year he completely imploded because he got super cocky, took his eye off everything.
Yep. So the next piece, when you've established your beliefs in a positive way, you always add to them. All of a sudden, this will become a process that, oh, you know what? I just did that. I did that with that client. That needs to go here. But what you're going to realize is that your belief, you can have it. And there's a difference to knowing it's mine versus God. That would be cool. You want to move it from up here till it becomes in here, and now you're just going to execute to make it happen. The third piece that you want to get to is the limiting beliefs. And like I said, they're not good or bad, but they do not push me to my goal anymore. So an example is, do you have kids? Either of you guys have kids? And that you know about that? Okay. Okay. Kept them, didn't sell. Okay. So for example, if I'm that, it's like, you know what? I don't want to miss my kids this. I don't want to miss that. And all of a sudden that creeps in. But don't we also have examples of people that make over $1 billion who spend a lot more time with their kids? So it's like, I have to pay attention to the beliefs that will creep in, because it's like, if I know I have to be there with my boys, I can do that too. That's a big rock, but I have to make sure that I make my priority so I do less busy work, and I can still do both. But it's the belief that, oh, well, I don't want to kill myself. I have high blood pressure. Well, is that really true? And it's like, there's ways to deal with that. But if you don't pay attention to the ones that are stopping you, those are the ones that get you down. And anything that I do, the fastest way that I found to get rid of these is I call it going Byron Katie on it. And basically I create doubt. Is it really true that I have to kill myself to make 2 million? Does everybody believe I have to kill myself to go? And very quickly you're going to realize how stupid it is. But I still have to get rid of it, make fun of it, and realize how stupid it was. Does everybody that makes 2 million die? Does Nikki think that if I have to kill myself, do I have to sacrifice my family? No. Does everyone that has 2 million do sacrifice? No, they actually have more time. Oh, shit. And it gets harder and harder to continue that bullshit stupid. So you start going in that, and then I go, who else believes something different? Some of the people I respect, do they believe this? Is there another truth here? And all you have to do is create doubt in this, and it will no longer control your decisions. And the second they pop up, I acknowledge myself. It's not good or bad. It's like, does that get me to my goal, or is that stopping me from my goal? Oh, well, I did pretty good this month. I need to chill. I need self-care. People want to jump into self-care. I'm all about self-care, but it's not either or. What they're really doing, I had an example. We had a lady who worked with us for almost 2 years. She came in, stopped working. She got cocky, started working. They hired somebody who couldn't make my team, never got above 10%, but that was now her sales trainer. So all of a sudden, her numbers were sucking. She couldn't, the minute she got hit with the problem, the person couldn't help her out of it. So she was at zero. She joined, started working with us. Her first month, she did 86,000. Her second month, she did 92. But then all of a sudden, from zero, then the third month, she goes, well, you know, I don't want to have to be a slave to 100,000 a month, and I don't want to kill myself. And all this language started coming out, something she had been trying for 2 years, and boom, there it was. Well, there's this really great guy, and, you know, I want to make sure I make time for my family and my balance, and I don't want to kill, and all this vomit. And what I did was challenge her. This was about 10 days into the new month. She was already doubling down in what she wasn't going to do to protect that inner child. So I said, hey, listen, I understand that, but is it an either or? And we went through this process. In the next 20 days, over the holiday, she did another $82,000 from scratch. That's how quickly, if you're aligned in your beliefs and you do the work, it just freaking flows. But it's not either or. So make sure that when you see a value in a belief, is it benefiting you? Do you still need it? You're not 6 anymore. It's time to upgrade. Remember, there was a time, I told this story before, but when I was about 3rd grade, and I was hanging out with other 3rd graders, because that's what 3rd graders do. And there was a 5th grader, who found out Santa Claus wasn't real. And there was a fist fight, not me, but the other third graders got a fist fight over Santa Claus was real. No, he's not. My brother said, yes, he is. No, he's not. There's a fist fight over Santa Claus. And it's like, I mean, that's a belief. That's all it was. And when people find that belief, most of them will cling to it, whether it's true or not. You guys want to accelerate your success, be open to the fact that you created most of these beliefs. A lot of them were shoved down your throat before you had a choice. But at this moment on, you can choose your goal. You get to choose your beliefs and choose your level of commitment to it. But don't skip it. Everybody jumps in ahead of time and they work their ass off. But if you don't do this, you're a hamster on the wheel. You will run just as hard. You are going to work your ass off and you're going to squeeze and fight for every step of growth. Be the hamster who looks for the hole in the back and run for your life. Either way you're running. One of them gives you freedom. One of them gets you tired. So that's part of what you're doing when you start connecting to this. Now you're in restaurants, correct?
That's right.
And you have a goal to get 8 new restaurants?
Another 8.
Okay.
2 right now.
So if I'm doing that, what juices you most about restaurants? Is it seeing a happy customer? Is it providing jobs? What juices you about it? Is it cash flow? Is it the fact that you're seeing something created that brings magic and beauty to people's palates? What about a restaurant inspires you?
To create a successful brand and also to have happy customers and also have satisfy their happy staff.
And what makes you the happiest? When a client raves about you and comes up and says, thank you, this is the most amazing meal? Is it when somebody comes up to you and goes, oh my God, I love working here. Oh my God, I love this place. What is the part of you? Is it the profit statement when you see how profitable you're?
Absolutely all of that.
Okay, got it. So that's what you put down. And it's like, how do you feel in the 4 right now, correct?
That's 2 right now.
2. So you're going to add 6 or you're adding 8?
No, adding another 8. I'm working on another 2 right now. We're opening in the next 6 months and then another 2 years I'm going to open another 6.
Okay, got it. So you want to jump ahead to how you want to feel when it worked amazing. You're going to have a ton of challenges along the way. But if you always stay connected to amplifying the best parts of your business now, and now it's going to be amplified by 8 because you have more of them, more people going, oh my God, this is the best place. Oh my God, your employees love you. They want to help build it, and you're creating that group energy with everybody. You want to hold that vision and the feeling of that vision now every day before you get out of bed. Every day it's like, can you do it? Has anyone ever built 8 amazing restaurants? Has that ever happened? So why not you? And it's like they didn't have as one restaurant either until they did. And then you build your belief tables about 8 successful restaurants. And it's like the how's going to show up along the way. Whatever you're going to need to learn, you're going to need to learn. As long as you can hold the frequency and the feeling of 8 done, and at any time you breathe and go back to that feeling, and then you go right back and kick ass and do what needs to be done. Where people get in trouble is they lose the vision, and this becomes here. So this is the vision. But what happens, this is the goal or the challenges. At first they start here, but the minute this happens, they can't see the goal anymore. All they can see is this, so they get more of it. This becomes a bigger self-fulfilling prophecy. Employee problems, cash flow problems. If I know what the victory is, I can still do it. But if eventually this will wear you down if all you see is the challenges. And so it's like everything that you're going to do also is a growth curve for you. You've done 2 successful restaurants, you're going to have to become a better manager and leader, a better fiscal accountant. So you're going to have to pay attention to more details. So you can grow with that. But as long as you hold the feeling of that and any bullshit belief that you can't do it, you need to go bitch slap it and make sure that it doesn't take root. You just need to realize that everybody who's built bigger restaurants has done it. They were no different than you. And it's like, I've met a lot of guys that had really big chains. Some of them were assholes, some of them were amazing. But it's very interesting. It's like you are going to be the magic to that. The more you can hold it, because what's a job of a leader?
Hold the vision.
Hold the vision, to create it, hold it, and share it with the group. The great leaders in our life are the ones that want to create that, speak that, and people will want to be a part of it. And the ones that don't, great, move on. I don't want people that don't share my vision. I want people that want to be a part of something special. So that's the key, though, is that when you see those, if you start doing that, all of a sudden you're going to find out very quickly that there is nothing you cannot write down if you're committed to make it happen. Double your income in less time. Some people go, oh, you can't do that because they aren't open to a possibility. It's not only possible, it's actually a better way to do it. Get better. So that's the first part I wanted to cover with you guys. You have to check in. I would recommend you get quiet on this. I'd recommend that you either play some Baroque music or something where you can get quiet and just sit for a bit. Look at your goals. Look at yours. In your case, 200 women at the end of the year. Don't worry about how they get here. How would it feel to know that if you had you in your corner when you went through hell, how cool would that have been? How cool would it have been if somebody pulled you aside and just told you it's going to be okay? You're going to be not only okay, you're going to be better than you were before. And I know it doesn't seem like it now, but within you, and you start talking, if you had done, how much time could you have saved you? And then it's about, look at that. And then I start looking at how many women end up going in the bottle, how many end up in pills. That's more of a girls are pills and alcohol. But they lose that feminine joy. When they're hurt and scarred, some of them never come out of that hell. They're going to be a bitch for the rest of their life. They have a reason to, but they never come out of that. And it's like, a lot of the ones we've helped is how to turn trauma into triumph. Women that have been raped and molested, and how do you get past it? That's some dark shit. If you can connect them to their higher identity, now all of a sudden I can not only, like Violet was raped and molested, Dr. Sony was raped and attempted to be murdered.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is some dark shit. She was also an army major. And it's like, but how did she get from there to now standing on stage and liberating women? That's what she does. She does about $3 million a year. I had a TV show as well last year. That's how quickly she went when she got in touch with this. When I started talking to her, she was about ready to step on stage, got on a stage, didn't know what the hell to do. Oh shit. Because that's how powerful it is what you do. But you focus on the end result. And the only thing that matters is how you feel when you're there. She didn't know she was going to get a TV show. She didn't know that she was going to have a funnel that didn't work, but the stages worked and she didn't know that was going to work. It didn't matter. At the end of the year, she, I think, did 2 million one year and $1 million the first year. But that's what happens. And it's not about the money. When you talk to her or any of them, when you get at the end of the year, it's just like what you were saying. It's that person that pulls you aside and says, thank you. The money will happen. Same thing for you. If I'm with you, I would also really look at creating a space that people want to be a part of. Create a job which inspires people. It's not just a waiter unless you let that be. You're a human service, contractor. You're somebody that creates an amazing dining experience for people. You're a chef as a palate master. You know what I mean? And start giving it something so that they can be more. Some of the best people I ever did were my friends from El Salvador. They came up and even the dishwasher. He almost got in a fist fight once with the owner. Guess what it was about? Because he said he did a shitty job on dishes. And the owner was wrong. Because it's like, here this guy, he took pride in dishes. He freaking owned that shit. And these guys fought in the war against the communist government. These guys were not sissies. And then he came up here and the guys were working 2 8 to 9 hour shifts and sending a lot of the money back home. Is that not trustworthy and impressive? And he was impressed by the fact that he had a place, because I would edify, and I used to wash dishes. And I was like, Leodon, you fucking rock that thing. He goes, I know, this is my domain. And it was like, he was so proud of it. But you have that ability too. It's going to just be a restaurant. It's going to be a place that people want to be a part of. That's going to be part of your vision. So that's the last part I wanted to share with you too. It's not just about the money. At the end of the year, it's like, do you want to have fun or do you want to grind? Because it's a choice. If you don't claim the energies you want to stack and enhance it, you're going to automatically default to the grind. So you want to decide, how do you want to experience? Does it inspire you to wake up every day to go out and go face your challenges and kick ass and have victories? Or is it something I got to fucking hammer? And what happens if you don't claim fun? You have to intentionally bring it because it's already going to be tough enough. But there's something about it too. When you get up early and go to bed late, when I'm connected on purpose, I never have to worry about getting out of bed. But if I don't, I'm like, fuck, that's where I was in real estate. I didn't want to get out of bed. And I had $100,000 a month sit me in the face, and I didn't want to get out of bed because it was about the transaction, and I forgot. No one told me about be the advocate for that family who's about to lose their home. If I had remembered it about Matt Battiata, I would have gone and I would have gone after it. I would have gotten out there and hammered because I didn't want him to get hosed by him. But nobody taught me that. So once the money was covered, I didn't want to get out of bed. So money's cool. Only thing I want you to get money, all of you, is get enough of it so you never have to worry about it again. That's when you get to focus 100% of your time to make a difference you're meant to make. And if that means that you're better parents, then you do that. You don't have to go do some cause and plant trees and heal the sick and raise the dead and all that stuff. If that's on your heart, then you do that. But if it's not, you don't. Sometimes it's like, go out and be the best dad. Be the little league captain, the team captain, or whatever they call those. Be a Boy Scout leader. Do something, whatever it is that would inspire you that you don't really have time to do, that you're going to regret that you didn't. It's one of the things I love and I'm impressed about Nikki. Nikki's now making it being the best dad he could possibly be a priority. Not that he was a bad dad, but he's intentionally now wanting to raise his standard as a dad. And it's like, that doesn't happen if you don't claim it. So then let's look at the next piece. I don't want you guys just making money. You talked about it as well. At the end of the year, if you had a choice where you could put on 30 pounds of body fat, or you could be in the best shape of your life, you already get the money, but you're also going to lose 30 pounds of body fat and get in the best shape of your life, or you're going to go ahead and be in the worst shape of your life. If you don't, what do you choose? Do you want more energy? Do you want more fitness? Do you want more flexibility? Do you want more passion? Do you want that? Then you need to do the same thing. And guys, I've been fat. I'm not anybody's judge. I was 209 pounds with a 30-inch waist, and then I've been 212 pounds with a 46.5-inch waist. 30-inch waist was better, I'm just telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, even my mom, who she was a Norwegian, grandfather was killed by the Nazis. And even when I'd ask her, I couldn't get her to say, until the last year of her life, I couldn't get her to say a bad thing about anybody. When I'd ask her about what it was like when the Nazis took over Norway, she goes, well, they were really sharp dressers. Swear to God, that was her response. They killed her dad. Yeah, and she's like, they were really sharp dressers, and, there were some mean ones, but there were some really nice ones too. And they were boys that just didn't have a choice. And they would take care of me and my brother and Mons, and they would take care, and they all weren't bad. Now, there were some really mean ones, but there were some nice ones too. And it's like, good God, Mom. But it's like, you know what I mean? I was like, shit. But it's like, guys, I don't want you guys to get there because, again, to your point, like the Dalai Lama talked about, he goes, humanity it finds it curious. They spend their health trying to achieve wealth, and then when they get it, they spend the rest of their wealth to get back their health. It's a choice. You can have both. So, and I'm also not a zealot where it's like, oh, it only is bodybuilding. It's only running. It's only yoga. If you don't believe me, go ask a yoga person. It's the only exercise worth the shit. And then if you talk to the runners, I like running, but it's like, that's the only exercise worth the shit. And this is what you're talking about. It's like, what one inspires you? Which is the one you like to do? Is that swimming? Is that walking? Yeah. Do you guys know what the number one form of cardio or aerobic activity that stimulates the most part of the brain?
Swimming.
Close.
What?
Walking. Power walking activates more parts of the brain than does swimming, lifting, yoga, or any of them. But, and then, I mean, you're power walking. Mm-hmm. And it's the only ones that do it are the Chinese.
I do.
Okay, that's good.
1 hour a day.
That's really, really good. So it's like they did a study. It's not here. James was here. I saw him a minute ago. They did a very big study of 2 different groups that had severe chronic back pain. Group A got, I think it was 3 chiropractic sessions a week for 8 weeks. The other group power walked for 30 minutes a day. At the end of 8 weeks, guess who had better results? Power walkers across the board. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, so when you're doing that, if you just did that, it'll change your life. Okay. Now it's not glamorous. It's not, whatever. And it'll be you and a couple of old Chinese people who don't speak English, but that's the way it is. So you go out there and power walk. If that doesn't juice it for you, then swim. If that's what you want to do. If you want to hike. If you want to do yoga, but do it. It is not that you don't have time. I was not a morning person. And it's like, I had not missed a workout for a very long time. I get up at 3 to 4 in the morning. I used to go to bed at 4 in the morning. So why the shift? Because I got more connected to where I wanted to be, and I refused, to your point, I was on the downward trajectory. I refused to accept it. I'm 55. I'll show you the picture. I was 53 after 18 months of obsession, 18 months of doing dry fasting. You guys know what a dry fast is?
Yeah.
No water, no toothbrushing, no shower for 5 days in a row. I did as many as 7, but every month I did 5 days of dry fasting. Then I would go my keto with intermittent fasting for 2 days. The next week I did 3 days of dry fasting and then 4 days of keto and intermittent fasting. And then I'd go to 1 and I'd repeat. And it didn't work.
Were you easy to live with?
It depends who you ask. It's like,
doubt?
You had your own bunker, right?
yeah. And part of it, what was interesting though, is that I was doing 39 different things. I did not talk to her, but I was doing 39 different things to get in shape. I used to bodybuild. I used to train. I've done all sorts of kick-ass shit. But for whatever reason, something stopped working. Part of it was age. And I found myself, even my fat boy clothes didn't fit anymore and they didn't fit. But this was after, I take it past around. That was after 18 months of absolute commitment and obsession. I was running 50 miles a week. I was intermittent fasting. I was checking my caloric intake. I was always watching my macros and my micros. I was doing keto. I was doing peptides you didn't get into, but biohacking. I was doing FRAD 147, which is the section of the hormones that are supposed to target your body fat. Did that. I mean, tons of electronic muscle stimulation, cold dips, cold showers every day. You name it, I was doing, and it did not freaking work. And that's where I ended up. And so that got me pissed. That's when I was like, I refuse. I'm either going to die and fix it, or again, my commitment, my conviction shifted. It was like, that's unacceptable. And so I made a decision, and I basically started doing a lot of what you're talking about, and I decided to get back. That was what happened after 4 months. 4 months of basically writing a new story, a new set of beliefs, and then doing stuff. So that was a 4-month shift. And the key to it, guys, was not anything new. Here's the real kicker. I ended up paying a lot of money to somebody who taught me everything I already knew. But the difference is I started doing it. But I had to rewrite my beliefs first, because the beliefs that were creeping in were, dude, you're 54. Dude, it's not going to work. You're already, what's the big, and even my friends were saying, dude, what's the big point? You know, you already look fine. I could hide that in my suits. I could hide it in shirts. I could hide it. But that's not me. When I got brutally honest, I knew there was another level for me. That pissed me off if I wasn't where I wanted to be. Okay. And so part of it was, it's the same thing here, but what if you could have the money and the best body you've had? Do you want it? If you don't, then great. But if you realize there's there, then you do the same thing, because the villain's going to show up here too. You're too busy. You don't have time. That's why I started getting up early. And then I got to pay him for the success of doing what I used to teach people for free. White rice, whey protein, all the shit. And then I realized very quickly why I did everything to avoid that. But it's basically chicken and rice and whey protein. That's pretty much what I did. But it worked. And I lifted. I started lifting. He stopped me running because he said it was catabolic. It was too hard on my system. He did all sorts of stuff. And then later I got my DNA done, and I got that done and found out I was highly sensitive to saturated fats. So by shifting over to this, I felt better. It finally freaking worked. And all of a sudden, it's like each step came forward. And even still, I was a little bitch. Every single food on my list, I argued with about. Why do I have to do peanut butter and apple before I work out? I do intermittent fasting. He's like, here we go again. So I argued with him, but I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it. Then I came back. He wanted me to drink Gatorade to spike my insulin when I got out of the gym to help that little window. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't do sugar. I don't do anything like that. He goes, oh, here's what you want to do. So I did it. Fine. Then he said I needed to do whey protein. Can I do this? No, you need to do whey protein here, and I want you to do 3/4 scoop of whole oats. Oh, can I do cinnamon and every single thing? I fought him on every single one. And I'm fine, I'll do it. Then I had to eat asparagus. I'm like, oh my God, I don't like asparagus. Can I do celery? That's a direct, no, you got to do, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I wasn't somebody that embraced it, but I knew that I had to be coachable. And I knew if I want the outcome, I'm hiring a guy who's put 3,000 guys on stage. He's a natural bodybuilder for 35 years. The guy knows it. So I either empty my cup and I'm committed, and that's what it kept coming back to. If you want to look your best, you got to do it. If you don't, don't. And he wouldn't tell me to do it. I was like, fuck, you're right. But it's like all of a sudden, it was just not that I was bad when I was overweight, but I knew there was another level for me. That both versions were within me the whole time. And that's the part I want for you guys. The same thing too with what do you want from your life, your bucket list. I don't want you working your ass off and not enjoying it too. There is a time for self-care. There's a time for a trip to recharge and reconnect. I'm finding that when you do it right, you're probably about every 90 days, you're going to need at least a 3-day trip to disconnect and go reconnect with you. Drive up to the mountains, do something like that. Go away, go to the ocean, take a little trip. But if you don't, you work, and all of a sudden the passion that led you on the way was going to dissipate. If you also, like I told you guys, some of the most successful realtors and lenders I know, and even coaches I know, they would schedule hard for 3 weeks, and every week they took a week off at the end of the month. Nobody knew except for me because I was their director. But they made more money than the other people. Every week he took 12 trips around the world, made more money than any other coach. That was part of his dream. That's what we crafted. I said, what do you want to be celebrating at the end of the year? He said, I just don't like having to coach every single day. He goes, what's the point? I want to go to London. I want to see what London's like. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to South America. It's like, okay, what if you could have both? And that's the key, because you can. So it's like same sort of thing too. Cars, if it juices you, then put it on your list and go get it. Don't buy it now and lease it. Wait until you can afford it and hit a goal. So it's like, for example, like what's your goal? You're going to do over $1 million. How many loans or clients roughly is that?
So that's 100 million.
Okay, so 100 million. So for example, what's the most you've ever done in a year?
30 million.
Okay, got it. So for example, you might do something like 30 million is like your baseline. So there's no real like huge reward there. But if you get to 50 million, you get X. If you get to 100 million, you get a Ferrari or something that is like a dream you've always had. Why? Because it means you helped a shitload more people. You had to grow a certain amount. If there's no benefit for you guys, we're still kids inside. And it's like, if you don't do that, all of a sudden you're going to grind, you're going to pay taxes. I don't know about you, but it fucking pisses me off when the only one that wins is the tax collector. And then people are bitching they want more money or this other stuff. But remember there was a time when you were a kid when you wanted to buy a motorcycle. I don't like them because I'd kill myself. But
Yeah.
I would like to have a Harley, but can't drive it. But it's like, what are those things that that no one is doing for you? Is it a trip? Is it a Ferrari? Is it flying first class? And it's just a choice. But it's like, do you want a first class life or do you want to always go coach? Trust me, coach blows.
Coach
Especially
really
for you, I'll
blows.
call you.
6'2".
Yeah, me too. And it's like, how can a girl fit in those things? There's no way. But what if life was like that? What if life was a first class experience? And you know what's better than first class? Chartering a jet. Way better. Way better. I mean, it's like you get to lie down. You get like all these kind of free treats, not the 2 packs of peanuts they give you at one time. So it's like, it's all possible.
So the
it's
wait staff on those jets are really nice to you. Really nice.
It's way better. So that's my point, guys, is that yes, you can have it, and it's not any different. The big myth is that your mind has gone, oh, you can't have all of it. That's not true. For those of you in a relationship, I would put down too, I would go, what relationship do I want to have? I want my toes curled. I want time to stand still. I want to be passionate again. I don't want a apathetic love life. I want it to be magical. And then it now gives you something to start working at. But if you don't have it, the default is going to be to kind of obligatory sex. That blows. Don't do that. So it's like, be intentional in the key parts of your life, whatever they are, and make that a priority. And guess what's going to pop up every single time? Beliefs. Oh, this is normal for a 20-year relationship. This is normal. Oh, you know what? I don't want to. And all of a sudden, it's like, says who? If you could have it just the way you wanted, what would you be fighting for? And that's now what's going to inspire you to another level. Amen. And so that's going to be a part of it. So once you get those done, that's going to help you do it. This is an ongoing process. You might want to check in on this at least every week. Just 5 minutes, check in. Are my beliefs in alignment? Do I need to stack them? Am I feeling empowered on my price? Do I really believe I can do it? If you don't, you need more work on it. That's the first thing you do. Second thing we wanted to talk about, and we talked about installing new beliefs, marketing and business audit. A marketing business audit this is important for people that have an existing business. Who knows in here what your $20,000 hour is? Each of you has...
Selling from the stage.
Huh?
Selling from the stage.
Yes. When I was sitting in front of a seller, my time was worth $20,000 if I was sitting with a buyer or seller, because I could enroll. There were some that were 30 and 40,000, or some that were 10.
Right.
I didn't do anything really below 10. So my average buyer listing, it made no difference, was worth $20,000. Now, if I did an open house or I did admin, guess what my time was worth?
No.
$15 an hour because that's what I could hire somebody. If I'm mowing my own lawn and it costs me $20 a week to hire somebody, I'm now making an hour of my time worth $20. So what happens though is that when we are not connected on our goal, what happens is busy work, because when you come up the ranks, you had to do your own processing. You had to do your own lead loan origination. You had to do your own calls. You had to do your own follow-up. You had to do it, but you're not that person anymore. So each of you needs to look at what is your $20,000 hour. If you're in any form of sales, so for you with contracting, for example, it's when you're delivering, that's one thing. That's worth X amount. But when you get a new contract, what's that worth? So if you figure a way, and I know that's my big number, then how do I get more of those? Even if you triple that and you don't even double, you're going to double your sales just by getting out and finding that out. The best example of this was somebody that I knew where he was in the marketing industry, but it was like magazines and books and things like that. And there was 100 in the whole world. There's thousands of these different companies that were going after, but there was the big 100. When he got to this company, he said they had only had 2 of the big accounts. That was like the big whales. And they go, well, how come you aren't going after the other ones? He goes, oh, they've had long-term contracts with the people. You're not going to get them. We want you to focus on the little bread and butter. This is where our money is, et cetera. He decided to focus on the 100. It took him 2 years and he had all 100 contracts. He made his expertise with the big boys. Just like with loans and real estate. If you sell a $4 million house, is that the same commission as a $300,000 condo? Is it a lot more work? No. Now, there's some different level assholes that you get to deal with, but you can handle that. But it's like, even if you start doubling the value of the majority of your big clients, you're going to see your income skyrocket. But it was a belief that, oh, I'm brand new. Oh, no one knows me. Oh, I don't have my own firm. Oh, I haven't sold any in this neighborhood. That's the limiting beliefs that'll pop up in that. It's total bullshit. Best example is a friend of mine, Mike Glickman. You've ever heard of him? He was a marketing master. He started in high school. Back before the internet, he would make flyers for real estate. He'd drive up and down the Ventura Boulevard and deliver them. He made his first $1 million while he was still in high school. He was on Oprah or Donahue or along with a couple other people. So he's 21 years old, just got out. He is not a broker, and he built the largest real estate company in Los Angeles by the time he was 23. He had 1,500 agents working for him. He had paid a broker to be the broker of record, and it was the Mike Glickman company. He bought out my boss, who used to be the biggest guy, Jerry Burns. Jerry got cocky. He didn't want to pay the Arizona emissions insurance, and in one decision, because he would pay for part of it, and then he got cocky in his retreat in Kauai. He's like, fuck them, I'm Jerry Burns, you can't do that. And all of a sudden, his top agents are like, fuck you, Fred Douglas or John Douglas and Fred Sands. They swooped up every one of his top agents while he was gone. Got cocky, lost his top agents, and then Mike came up and built a business. Mike was a guy that whatever he did, he had belly dancers with signs towards properties. He's a 22-year-old kid selling the most expensive properties in the valley. There was a strike on trash, okay? A trash strike. He waited for about a week, and imagine $1 million houses in Bel Air and these type of places, and there's bags of trash all out there. What did he do? Hired a trash truck, and he put his signs on the side, and all of a sudden he went out there and he personally took their trash and threw it and made sure that the news covered it, and all of a sudden he owned that place within 1 year. He was 23 at the time. So none of that stuff matters. But he did not have a story, I'm only 23. He had a story, I'm 21 and I'm a marketing genius. There's no way they won't. He did this subconsciously. And all of a sudden it's like he didn't even get into college. So it's like, guys, you can absolutely do it, but I don't want you just getting the money, because trust me, if you guys have made a lot of money, money will only get you so far. Where you want to nurture is developing the relationships, the people that you get to liberate. That's where the real power is. But if you have money issues, you're going to get stuck. But there's nothing you wrote on that paper that you could not achieve. So make sure that you're doing that. So look at your 20%. You might not know exactly. It doesn't mean you get to put all your time in the 20%, but you do as much there and try to make it 30, 40% of the time you spend. So let's say 20% of your time right now, fuck you, fucking Patino, is, let's say that you do 3 listing presentations a week. Let's say you do 3, you get 1 or 2. Okay, so at the end of the month, you had 4 listings. That's a really good listing a month for most people. 4 listings, maybe it's 20 grand, 30 grand this month. Okay, got it. You can live with that. But if you got and started doing 6 listing presentations, Or you did 5 and got better, and now you got 4 out of every 5, which I can show you how to do. Now you've got 20 listings in essentially the same time. Now you're at about a $50, $60, $100,000 list. But that's the kind of thing. So you start to focus on that. If you were doing $200,000 a month, could you hire people to do your open houses, your ad copy, your MLS submissions? And that's the way you're going to look at it. The other thing, which is really great, this was right before I stopped selling. It finally took me. I found somebody to do everything for $500 per listing. I taught her how to take pictures. I taught her how to Photoshop in beautiful sunsets. I taught her how to Photoshop pictures of us on the TVs. I cleaned it. I showed her how to write powerful ad copy like what you're doing about, this isn't just a house, it's a home. Imagine watching Billy and your family running and playing tag in this beautiful backyard that's fenced and secure. Look at those sunrise. And I sold that. Everyone else was selling bedrooms and square foot. And I taught her how to do that. Then I taught her how to do open houses. And guess who got the names? I did. And guess who did that? And if she got a sale from there, she got an extra $200. She was tickled pink. She made more money working for me than ever. And guess what I was doing? Not that. All I did is I got really good at getting yes. And that was why it's like you can do that, but it's like you have to look intentionally for your 20%, whatever it is. And anything that you can, even for you, if you're doing a lot of it, for example, in doctors in your thing too, you're probably doing most of your patient care one-on-one. So what happens though is that, for example, remember when you first came out of naturopath school? You didn't know shit really. You knew a lot, but you learned a lot what really matters. If you had 4 different doctors working under you and you supervise them, you can now expand your practice rapidly. You can mentor them, teach them, but also it's like, if you talk to 10 people, you're pretty much, even though it would be different analysis, it's the same shit you're looking at. So you can teach them and then you're going to check their work just like you did and they did for you when you were coming out. But you can think in that way because it's like, even with somebody checking your labs, I have friends that are doing that from online, and it's like they pay a doctor $100, $500 to review all their labs so they don't have to do all that, and then they get to write it, and now they get to present that. So because they're most effective when they're getting a $10,000 yes. How many of those conversations can you have? Anything that's not that has to go secondary. And it's a belief that, oh, they're hiring me. It's not true. It's like we think that, and that's part of, oh, well, they want to talk to me all the time. They really don't. And you can show up because that's all what the realtors say. Oh, well, they're hiring me. They want to expect me. No, it's not true. I have a team of buyers experts who are animals on knowing where the great deals are. You don't want me because I need to keep them on track, and I'm looking for all the other aspects to make sure we get you there. So I want you guys to look and intentionally look for your 20%. Now, the other one too is that I've also found this. I've never found anybody, please write this down, the rule of 168. You have 168 hours a week. How you invest them, how you spend those is what, and that's in your mind and your daily activities. That's what's going to determine your level of success.
Like invest.
Yep.
There's a big distinction between that and spend.
That's right. And so when you're investing that, are you investing it in your 20%? That gives you a big return, or are you investing it watching TV? Are you investing it being present with your kid, or really not there because you're thinking about, shit, I need to be at work? You need to figure and be intentional with that 20%. And then you're going to realize too about sleep. I now make it a priority. I get almost 8 hours of sleep like clockwork for almost 2 straight years. I made it a priority. And I still get more done than most people. I still get up at 3 to 4 in the morning. I still get to the gym by 4:45. And it's like I get my workout done before most people get up. I'm not saying that because I'm Superman. I'm just saying that the time is there. Here's the myth. I have more energy on the days I work out. It's true. People could tell on the days before I really built my routine, when I was training and I was leading different calls, and I'd be on phone calls from 7 in the morning until 6 at night leading groups. Nonstop, no break, do the math. And I would be totally rocked. If I didn't get my workout in, they could tell something was not quite right. And I guess it's part of it because my brain wasn't fully activated, and you can caffeinate up, but it's not the same thing. I just mentioned I haven't done caffeine since March. That last picture was in March. And I love my bulletproof. Frickin' it's one of the few things I miss. But it's like I'm way more mentally sharp, and I can go as long as I need to, as long as I'm connected to the client. If I lose connection to the client, it becomes laborious and task driven. So it's the sort of thing too, when you remember you, what would you have done to find somebody that would have supported and mentored you? Would have been worth a ton. Save you, what, a decade? Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's what we're offering people. What's a decade of their life worth? because that's what you can help them with. So when you guys do the 20%, make sure that you guys are looking at my 20%. And if you need to take time off, you do it and don't feel guilty about it. You know, if I do a cruise, sometimes I'll do a cruise. I'll take 7 days and 10 days. And even when I came up here, people are all butthurt because I came up here. They don't like it. They can pound sand. I deliver like no one's business. You know, it's like I'll be the first one on the call. I'll be the last one there. It's like I'm the one that's reaching out to the clients on weekends. I'm the one that's doing all that shit. Other people do the minimums. I'm always the maximums. But I also realize that even I will need a threshold. That's why I got the place in Big Bear.
That's an awesome place.
Yeah. Yeah, we should do something out there.
We're going to be doing like a high-level retreat there, guys. I'm telling you, it's total magic. You get to hang out with Mark. You get to sleep in a really cool place, and we'll do some high-level shit. We did this with Celebrity Thought Leader last year with Patricia, and it took Patricia from being stuck to having like some black belt months in a row, just being there. Plus, Mark's a guest, and you get to go out in the cold and sit in this hot tub when it's minus whatever outside.
Yeah. Yes, it's awesome. But it's like I realized for me, that's what I was saying up there, is that for me, it's like when I can reach my threshold, I know I need to be in nature. For me, that's what it does. Even if you go outside, for me, that works. I take off my shoes. If all I can do is go stand out in the grass and sun gaze, I'll do that. But every now and then when I kind of reach my threshold, I'll literally disconnect and I go work out of the cabin. It takes me 2 hours to do it. My wife can do it in 4.5. I can do it 2. And it's like, it's up there, but it's like, I love it. And it's like, it's quiet. And there's nothing but trees, bear, and stuff like that. And it's like, I just chill. But it's like, make sure you have something like that. But the other one that she didn't talk about, which I know you do, but it's like heart rate variability and about my recovery markers. And it's like, I realized that my stress level and cortisol, when you spike your cortisol because you're in that fight or flight, like you said, what was the other one you said? When you fight or flight, and then it's like rest and digest. There's a downside, but energetically, when you spike and you're like ready to throw blows and you go lose your shit, it takes up to 3 days for your heart rate to get back to baseline normal. That's not good in sales. And what happens is we live in that drive. And so what happens on a sales call and with that drive, all of a sudden they feel this push. Yeah, and it's like, and your body gets exhausted. And so I realized that I had to chill that shit out too. And it's like when you guys do this, though, when you put more time in the 20%, this is what you did. If you go back, and this is what we're going to have you do, go back and look at what you did the year before. The reason you're able to double your income and do it is because you're doing more of this. Your beliefs are much stronger this year. You're spending more time doing the important stuff. We're going to continue to refine it because within this 20%, guess what? 20% of this is worth 80% of this 80%. So we're going to fine tune what is your 20% of the 20%. But that's going to be part of the key that we need to get to for you guys to be hyper productive. And I only work out, my lifts are about 45 minutes max. So I'm in and out 45 minutes. I do cardio right now twice a week, low intensity, basically at moderate elevation. That's it. I used to run 40 to 60 miles a week on trails. Very intense. It was much tougher on my body. I miss it, but I wasn't getting the outcome. But I can tell you, if you would invest an hour a day, you guys will have a completely different body by the end of the year. And it's not good or bad, but it's like, what do you want? You want more flexibility? You want more speed? Because she's right. It's like, I did not want to be the guy that's 55 and the best days are 20 years ago. What if I'm better at 56 than I was at 20? I'm not quite as strong as I was at my peak, but I'm pretty freaking close. I can go toe-to-toe with most 55-year-olds. That's for damn sure. And in my entire gym, I'm probably the strongest one in my gym at no age. But I used to be like ballistically strong. Maybe I'll get back, maybe I won't. Doesn't matter. But it's like I'm committed to being the best 55, 56-year-old I can absolutely be. But you want to start thinking in terms of that, because if you wrote it down, you can have it. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is your marketing and your action plan. This is where most people will hide. Your action plan, when you know your goals, you know your commitment level, your action plan is going to be the implementation. It's like doing the sales call. That's where it all comes to the front. Your action plan is going to be what do you need to do. So for example, if I'm you, Dennis, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, so let's say right now you do, for every 10 listing presentations, it takes you a lot of time, a lot of follow-up. You do 10 listing presentations and you get 3 listings for every 10 and you're making $30,000 a month. Okay, got it. If I want to go ahead and look at my activity calendar, I'm going to say first and foremost, how do I do 10 listings and get 6 sales? Because right off the bat, I'm maximizing my time. Secondly, What if I got 15 and I got 10? Is that better? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then I'm looking at what would I need to stop doing? Oh, I can't do open houses because if I did then it'd be better, but it would be, and I can start looking at my activity calendar. Then I can start deciding what would my life look like with 10 enrollments every month, 10 new listings. Then I can show you how to optimize them. But let's say you got 10 listings now because you're focusing just on listing appointments, really focused. Then we talk about, okay, how many referrals are you getting? We're going to optimize that too. So even in 15 minutes per listing, you can set it up for a good referral. Now those 10 became 15 to 20 if you do them right. Oh, that's getting interesting because that's where most people miss. In all of your businesses, everybody is so focused on that initial sale and they're not planting seeds nor have any system in place to get the referral business. In Tony's, we did $17,000 in referral sales when I got there. When I left, we did $4.8 million in referral sales. Right now, we're doing 29% of our business is coming from referrals. And that's just with me planting seeds and talking about it. So what does your business look with 30% more revenue simply because you're planting seeds and learning how to get them to give you referrals and gladly? You can scale your business the best because these are pre-sold and they already are your ideal clients. So you want to look at that. Mike, the Feeney Company and a lot of these guys talk about building referral-based businesses, but they never really did it. And it's like, okay, sounds good, but nobody did it. Timeshare couldn't figure it out. Tony couldn't figure it out. They can't do referrals because they're trying to get the referral instead of giving you a reason for you to, if I'm your advocate, you're going to go to bat for me and say, dude, you got to talk to Mark. The dude's legit. But if I'm trying to give you a name of somebody else like that, you're going to go, dude, no, thank you. Or you'll open up your phone book and give me some asshole that you know is not going to be worth it.
Right.
So that's another part underneath all of this. The process that we're going through will open up floodgates for you to get referrals on everyone. Doesn't matter what your business is. Because the people that are going to hire, guess what? Your best employees are going to be your best recruiters. The best people that gave you a good lease are going to have other places because if you work with them well, they're going to want to help you do another one. The lenders that you're working with, you rock their world and everyone's winning, they're going to want to help you do more of it. So even little things like that, that's the 20% that will give you huge dividends. Just like the magic minute I do before every phone call, everyone, before I do every email that I send out as an email blast. Close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and just feel, how would I feel if this went out and the right person opened it? How would I feel if when I do this podcast or I do this email, and we tested this from empirical data, where we do this and our email open rate and our conversion rate when we do this is about 2 points higher than if we don't. Doesn't seem like a lot until you start spending $100,000 a month on ads. That little 2% is an extra 30, 40, 50 grand. Just like that. But there's something about it because it's the intention I'm setting to whatever it is. I'm going to do a call. I want to feel, how do I feel when the person, if I have an issue, when I have an issue with the doctor, had an issue, it's like, how do I want to feel when I get done with the call? I want him to apologize. I want him to accept whatever. I need to bring that intention because if I don't, I'm going to default to the pissed off. And it works. So the last thing we do on the calls, which you'll learn, is what I call the magic minute. I reconnect every time that this is someone's mom, this is somebody's dad, this is a fellow human being. Number two, 9 out of 10 want to solve a problem or they wouldn't take the call. All I have to do is get them to the truth and they're going to want to fix it. And 3, how do I feel when I get an enrollment? Nothing wrong with that. How do I feel when they go, fuck yeah, this is amazing. I thought it was going to be way more. Let's do it. When you get that sale, it creates a rush in all of us. It's a new client. That rush, I bring that feeling to every single phone call. And it massively does it because guess where I go if I don't? Fuck, I'm late. Does this guy look like a good buyer? Shit, I don't know if it's time yet. Shit, I'm bringing that chaotic energy to the call. It makes a gigantic difference. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even if I'm 2 minutes late, I'll spend 2 minutes doing this because I have to get present for that. They need a advocate, not a salesperson. So that's going to help take you to the next step. Last thing, environment, habits, and rituals. You need to, from this moment on, start thinking of yourself, talking about yourself, talking to yourself as the person who did that. You're a $10 million earner. How does the $10 million walk into that question? How do you walk? How do you talk to yourself? You piece of shit, or are you the fucking badass who picked it and went for it? You know what I mean? And it's like, nothing can keep me down. And it's like, all of a sudden, when you start claiming, you have to cultivate that identity. It's not about the money. It's the man that you can become that has been inside you laying dormant, who's ready to step forward. So it's the same thing too. Now there's a negative aspect to this or an area you want to pay attention to. As much as I love my family, as much as I love a lot of my friends, you have to protect your dream. There's a book called RHJ, It Works. There's a multimillionaire at the turn of the century, right around Napoleon Hill. He summed it up into 3 things. He said, write and know your goal. Number 2, share it with nobody that will go ahead and steal it. And 3, take consistent action. Because what happens is people that have quit on their dream are going to try and steal yours. Dude, you said you're going to be a billionaire. You're not a billionaire yet, man. Let's have a drink. Just why do you work so hard? You're killing yourself, dude. You're going to kill yourself. And one way or the other, they try and steal your drink. Dude, come on. You've done 2 restaurants, and now you're going to be freaking Mr. Restaurant Man, and all of a sudden they're going to go, dude, you're kind of being a dick. You need to start hanging out. But seriously, this will happen. And it's like all of a sudden you're made wrong. And then the minute you have a white fight, and all of a sudden, all you ever do is work. It's like it's not true, but that's what they always lead with. And it's like you guys need to get to the point where it's like, I love my sister. She's wonderful. And I don't put myself around her for her to try and steal my drink. You just don't. Because she was so up in her own shit. She's like, oh, well, what are you going to do this time? What are you going to do this year, Mr. Super Pants? And it would be like, I knew she was hurting and I love her, but do I want to give my dream to her while she's quit on hers? Oh, you're going to get in shape again? Oh, you're going to do that? It's like, no, I'm going to get fat like you. I'm not going to say that, but it's like, do I want to subject myself to that?
No.
And it's like she drinks more than most of you guys combined. So am I going to put myself, it doesn't mean I don't love her, but I have to protect my dream. My dream affects everything. My dream affects your life. My dream affects my kid's life. My dream affects a lot of people. You have to protect it with the same thing. And sometimes it's a mother-in-law. Sometimes it's a best friend. Sometimes it's somebody. So pay attention. People that quit on their dreams, people that are hurt are going to try and steal yours and bring pain to you too. Every single time. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but it's your job to protect your dream. If this was given to you from God, would you protect it or just throw it out to be trampled on? You have to protect your dream with that much protection. And it doesn't make them bad, but I certainly recognize what's happening and I don't want to give it up to them.
Amen.
And the biggest thing I said, like I said, when I worked with Tony was not what I learned because I already knew all the stuff he was teaching. What I learned from Tony was proximity. When I'm sitting at tables like this and I found out this guy's worth $5 billion, this guy is worth $2 billion, this woman made $5 million in an MLM. And I start meeting people that are just like us. They're not smarter. I went through that because that was one of my old stories. Well, they're smart. They had these degrees at first they had a degree. Then I got my degrees. That didn't work. Then they had fancy degrees from better schools. Then I met them and they weren't any smarter either. Then I realized they had grade inflation and there was a total scam there too. But when I met the different people, it took away my bullshit stories that I couldn't do it. When I met a lot of these big motivational speakers and you meet them backstage and you realize a lot of them are douchebags and they're not congruent. It's like, fuck, I can't believe that. I used to totally look up to that dude. And it's like, but it really showed me, it's like, who would you be if you realized that that dream that was given to you from God would make it a priority? Like you said out there, what juices you is about when you change someone's life who was down on his luck and you unlocked his power. What does the world look like if you did that 100 times a year for the rest of your life? Imagine when you take your final breath, the army that you would create where people goes, I know him. Oh my God, my life changed. Very much like when you went, that impact you had and you didn't even know.
That would be good to write a legacy statement for you.
Yes, very much.
That's what I do in one of the workshops, and it's very powerful.
Very. You're going to take your final breath one day. The question is, what are you going to do while you're here? And it's like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to impact? How do you want to be remembered? And the other one, we do that as well every year from 1 year from today. And we can do that here as well. But write yourself a letter 1 year from today from the 1 year version of you, because he's in there, she's in there right now. 1 year from today, what are you proud of? Maybe you set a goal to 10 million and you sucked. You only got to 8. And you dropped 60 pounds. Your relationship has never been better. You're the best dad you've ever been. You frickin' are more proud of being the best dad you've ever been. And other people are now coming to you doing, can you help me with my boys? Whatever it is that a loss? No. What do you want to be celebrating? Because that might happen. You might only get to 6 million. And then you set a goal to do 15 the next month, the next year, and you only do 12. And the next year you set a goal to do 20 and you did 30. That's kind of what happens. It's not a straight line. That's okay. But if you're getting all of it, I didn't hit my goal for my body. I got close, but I didn't hit it. And it's like, if you think about it as just a target versus a life, when you get into the life path, now it's like, what else am I going to do? Get fat and die? I'd rather just fight and choose what I want to do and fight to the end. So that's the kind of things you guys are looking at that. As you guys are doing that, but protect your environment. There's other things you can do that she talked about as well, Dr. Val. Make recovering your sleep a priority. It all comes back to your sleep. If there was one health tip, believe it or not, the number one predictor of injuries, guess what it is in runners? Number one, not diet, not surface, not running shoes, not running style. Guess what it is? Sleep. The largest study done on runners. The number one predictor, if they got 8 hours of sleep, they had the lowest injury rate there was. If they got 7 hours, I don't remember that there's a bell curve and it goes up. But if you got 6 hours of sleep, it was like 50-50 chance you're going to get hurt and knocked out. If you had 4 hours or 5 hours, it was like a 90% chance you will get hurt.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.